Hi guys! I finally got Waterdo working just in time for this, huh? My first script for this video was very different. I was going to reminisce about the past few years, how traumatic they've been, and how the loss of the rescue kitten Simba was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I was just so tired of crying and being upset and just down in the dumps that I had to do something to get the heck out of Dodge, so to speak. But, if you've been paying attention to my recent activity, a lot has changed. The assassination of Charlie Kirk has brought some horribly nasty people out of the Wordworks, and I'll be rescinding support of a few games I previously have streamed until some staff members are fired, or a couple of other olive branches are met, I suppose. I'll get to it. The first is Final Fantasy XIV. Their translator reposted calls to violence quite a while ago. But, recently, she complained on Blue Sky that the site wasn't allowing her to dance on Charlie Kirk's grave. Yeah. It just makes me want to vomit thinking about it. Like, at what point do you realize you're the problem? This caused such a ruckus that people were constantly contacting Square Enix. I have as well. I have even done so in Japanese to the JP branch. Like, look, I'm using my degree! Well, Lamat's voice actor is not that much better either. And the Final Fantasy XIV community as a whole has been co-opted by such vile people that the forums are on fire. And I mean that when I say co-opted. I joined just before the WoW Exodus, and the people were still legitimately chill back then. It genuinely brought me out of a really dark time, and continued to be a pillar of support during my most traumatic years, even up till now. Like, I held a funeral service for little bitty kitty in that game. Like, that's how much it means to me. Because of that, I'll always cherish the friends and memories I made through it, especially since while I was in Japan, I went to the Eorzea Cafe way too much! I had so much extra, like, free merch from the store that I sent some to some of my Final Fantasy XIV buddies in the mail. Electro Drip was one of them. The other one I actually wanted to get on stream as well, but he was unable to make it. I'm still hoping I can do something with him, though. I don't need it anymore. I can move on, and as unfortunate as it is, until those two people are fired, I will not support the game anymore. Granted, I do think Square Enix has a lot of problems in general, so even if those two are fired, there's a very low chance I will return. Speaking of voice actors, the second I'm rescinding support of is Star Garden, and this one hurt so much. Like, I had like a reverse brain blast at midnight when I found this out. But the game itself is mega solid. I love it so much. It's bringing back those like Dreamcast vibes, and despite working on zero budget, they came out with such a solid demo. They know what they're doing, the game design is great, everything is great. But it takes one rotten apple to spoil the bunch. One of the voice actors I hired just had to piss on the dead man's grave. He did elaborate that he's upset that this tragedy will overshadow others, and that's fine. I actually agree with that. When I did the memorial service, I tried to include as many lives lost as I was aware of, especially because it was on 9/11. That just felt the most appropriate thing to do. However, he misquotes a lot of Charlie's words, brings race into it, like, what does that have to do with anything? And on top of that, he even suggests that we aren't American if we don't agree with his statements right here. For Pete's sake, have some sympathy for the other side. And not just that, you're suggesting that we should not mourn his death for his opinions. I'ma repeat that. Opinions! I got too close to the mic and the camera couldn't pick me up, sorry about that. Like, look, you can say your opinions are your own all you want. But once you're hired on by a private company, you become their mouthpiece, whether you like it or not. And this is especially so when it comes to entertainment and actors. Like, just look at the whole fiasco that was the Snow White remake. Because one actor in it was such a vile person, it ruined the whole movie for everyone. And like, in the spirit of forgiveness, so long as Game Garage disavows his comments, I will go back to supporting the game. I don't like getting people fired from their jobs, despite what my earlier comments might sound like. I know, especially when it comes to smaller companies, they may only be able to take what they can get. You can very easily be fooled by mainstream media and how they portray things, so I'm not expecting them to know everything. It's just, I am very angry that he's unwilling to be sympathetic to those he disagrees with. And on top of that, Square Enix is just being infested with the whole DEI nonsense from the top down. And it's a lot worse than I initially thought, based off of some of the information that's been coming out. So, again, I'm going to be a lot harsher towards a AAA studio that should know better versus an indie startup. I will be leaving my streams of these games public, as they have been crucial foundations for this channel. And to be clear, I am not that interested in making my channel, like, political, or at least too political. Like, React Andes are a dime a dozen, like, come on. And I want to make more meaningful content than just reacting to something, and that's not that they're bad. Like, far from it. If anything, we need more of our voices out there than ever. And in that spirit, I am 100% going to be more bold about what I believe and showing support towards those, not just with like a similar mindset, but also those who encourage healthy discussion and or debate, and probably do investigative journalism as well. The way forward is polite debate with the opposing side, which is what Charlie advocated for, and so I'll do my best to aid those attempting to do so. The question that remains is, well then, what now? Where do I plan to go from here, and what is it that I actually, like, personally want to do? Due to the rampant amount of AAA slop, staff members in AAA being arses over Charlie Kirk, DEI infestation, which is becoming Bridge now, don't think we're winning just yet. Listen to the brain-damaged anime Foxu and stay vigilant. And let's be honest, these things have also been happening within indie studios as well, but in my honest opinion, it's a lot easier to vet indie studios. Sorry about my arms. Even though I have Warudo working, I'm still primarily based on XR animate, so you're still gonna see some jank. But back on topic, it's also very infrequent to see indie games do the horrific business practices that big franchises are doing, and that's putting it lightly. Because of that, I have lost almost all love for the big franchises. They will always have a special place in my heart, but I absolutely refuse to give them a single cent anymore. And to be honest, Real Life Fake Wizard tends to explain this a lot better than I can, and his most recent streams have really made me want to support his cause all the more. So, if I can get this working, right? Hey! See if I can jiggle it a little bit. There we go. And one more thing. And finally, cha! Welcome to Fake Portal Fridays! In case you didn't know, Real Life Fake Wizard is making a massive hub called Fake Portal for indie games that just really aren't known. He even mentioned some specific criteria, like little to no advertising, few reviews, basically indie games that never reached the levels of those like Hollow Knight, Celeste, or Cuphead. You know what? If the series made it into the ongoing Indie Cross fan series, they're probably too big for Fake Portal. That is by no means a dig on the series. I am eagerly awaiting the next episode. It's just to give a sense of scale of the notoriety of games on Fake Portal, and I want to promote such indies as much as I possibly can going forward. Oh, and for the record, I am not sponsored nor affiliated with Real Life Fake Wizard in any way. If he wants to have some sort of business partnership in the future, I totally welcome it. But for now, I'm just promoting Fake Portal from the love of my heart. Now that we're back down to earth, let's move on to our next topic. Most of this category is in the latter, so I'll start with the one I haven't done yet. There's a bit of a story behind this one.
Flashback.
My sister found some old Game Boy and DS games, and then had some more dumped on her by a friend, and then proceeded to give them to me, as she isn't a gamer by any stretch of the means. But she didn't give them to me straight. She just left a zipped up bag full of all these licensed games on my shelf, confusing the absolute tar out of me.
End of flashback.
But that's where the name of this series comes from. And from the looks of things, most of these games seem pretty bad. There are a few gems in there, some from big companies, unfortunately. But I don't want to spoil any of them. In fact, I'm going to have the audience decide which ones I do next. But I'm going to do so very cryptically. Likely via polls with emoji options or something, so stay tuned. Alrighty then, let's move on to the next category of series. Whenever I do collabs, I tend to put them into two different categories. The first is where the goal is to work together to play the game, or where we battle each other in order to win. I don't have anything lined up just yet, but I am eyeing up Mage Arena for Friendly Fire. I know my good friend Electrodrip is looking forward to this one. While next up is the last series I have in mind, it is by no means the final thing I want to talk about today. So, I do believe the point behind this is quite self-explanatory. One out of the two sub-series in this category I've already started, so let's start there. The goal of this series is suffering. This could either be due to not liking the game, but playing it for the content, see my meme stream, or because the skill level may be above my pay grade, but I do foresee myself liking it. The one I have my eye on is the Ori and the Blind Forest series, as the art style is very appealing to me, and the devs are kinda based. However, I do have something lined up this time. In case you didn't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows was such an inaccurate portrayal of Japanese history that legal issues went all the way up to Japanese parliament. When you disrespect a whole civilization's continuous history by trying to supplant it with your agenda-driven falsehoods, expect to have that very same pie thrown back in your own face. And that pie wound up being Yasuke Simulator. One massive meme of a game, probably made with a bundle of sticks and a bag of rocks, yet somehow looks loads more fun and less broken of a game than what a AAA studio delayed several times before barfing out. I plan on 100% completing this if I can, although I haven't played any shooters outside of Splatoon, so I suspect this to be a struggle. And if a Corvette-riding samurai wielding a Glock confuses you, boy howdy, are you in for a ride. Our return to the Waterdo ruins will be brief, as the final sub-series already has two things lined up. These are games I want to promote because I just genuinely like them. The name from the series stems from my pending VTuber lore, which I'll touch on later. As for the first game planned, well, I've already streamed it. VR chat was super enticing, but the rampant culture there, on top of kernel level anti-cheat, seriously pushed me away. Resonite is completely free, no account needed, no anti-cheat, and honestly far more versatile than VR chat. It can be extremely intimidating due to that, but people are so friendly and helpful in there that practically anyone might be willing to help you if you ask. Kinda like what Final Fantasy XIV used to be. Funny that. Do be aware that kids shouldn't use Resonite, since you just never know. I haven't seen much adult stuff open to the public. What I have seen is furry and pride-related meetups, but just to hang out. They don't do the super adult stuff in public lobbies as far as I'm aware. I will be using some discretion when I play though, and try to keep things as family-friendly as possible. Also, I put this in the solo series as I foresee me doing this on my own for quite a while, with the people I meet in there being chance encounters. However, my ultimate goal is to use this as the fan meetup place, and potentially do collab forays into Resonite. As this one could go either way though, I waited to include this in my lineup until now. I also lack basic VR equipment at the moment, so please bear with me when I play. With all that out of my system, let's move on to the truly solo game I have in store. I've always had a guilty pleasure in phase stuff, usually when it strikes a nice balance of family-friendly and mature with some whimsy. I haven't found many games that tickle that interest though, however this one seems pretty close. It's described as a Fae Pokemon 2, which should be interesting. The one caution is that there seems to be an issue where it just doesn't run for some people for unknown reasons. So we'll see if I have to put on the pirate hat. But don't worry, I've already bought it. Might also be a good time to mention that I think Fake Portal Fridays might become a subcategory of almost all of these series. For example, if the solo game I'm playing comes from Fake Portal, the title would look like Fake Portal Fridays, Seg visits Zanzura the Hidden Portal. But if it didn't, and this one did not, the title would just be Seg Visits Zanzara the Hidden Portal. Considering there are now multiplayer and online games on the hub too, I foresee Fake Portal Fridays becoming a far more substantial part of this channel than I initially thought. The only series it won't coincide with is Retro Grab Bag. I also separated it from the solo series, as Retro Grab Bag is limited to the games my sister gave me, plus 1 or 2 I added myself, whereas both Verses and Visits are intended to run until the death of this channel. Now, if I find more retro games, or if some are gifted to me, Retro Grab Bag's lifespan will increase. However, the series is not meant to last forever. If I want to change culture for the better, I shouldn't just promote things. That said, I'm no game dev, maybe somewhere down the line. I do have a lot of anime ideas though, but I'm not an animator, and my drawing skills are very subpar at the moment. My current strengths are in linguistics, however. So, hang on a second, why are we so zoomed in? Can we zoom out? Can somebody zoom out, please? OGs will know the very first thing this channel uploaded was my first full song. Oh well, technically it's not the first I've ever made, but it's the first one I made completely from scratch. I would like to add some lore, as in real-life lore, to provide some context here though. Music is a massive talent of mine, but it's been mired with so much baggage over time. I started as a violinist, but a private tutor mixed with a terrible public school program just really killed that for me. I don't know if I want to play any instrument going forward, but Christ overcomes all things, I suppose. I switched to music creation as a means to keep that talent, and to be honest, I love it. It tickles my brain in ways nothing else has. That said, it takes time and can be very overwhelming for my shy little kokoro. Not long after, though, I wound up going to college and finding little time to continue this. It wasn't until the dreaded year of 2024 where things got so traumatic for me that I finally couldn't take it anymore and just resorted to music creation to vent. So yeah, it's been a wild road in this department. To top it off, my mind tends to venerate music as this mysterious, untouchable entity that I will never understand. And learning how to make my own is definitely going to tear that down for me. But if I want to be the next generations, like Hideki Nakanuma, C418, Daft Punk, or whatever, I have to be willing to tear that wall down, hunker down, and create. Especially since I want to try my hand at Vocaloid. And that's a whole other can of worms. Hence why I want this to be a regular thing, at least once per week, but hopefully more. And lastly, music is intended to be my main form of merch, so I better get crack-a-lackin'. Apologies for looking like a glow stick. The lighting in the Waterloo classroom's kinda weird. Anyways, moving on to the next topic. If you watched the second video I uploaded, which was a recap of one of my streams, I talked about how I've studied Japanese for about 9 to 10 years, and went into how bad faith political actors have infiltrated the translation scene for a long time. You know what? I actually started watching my anime subbed, as from the get-go I wanted to understand the cultural quirks these shows have. I may have outed my autism with that statement. As these bad actors began infiltrating the scene, I really strongly felt the need to learn Japanese so that my deeper level of understanding could bypass both unintentional and intentional translation errors. And now that AI is replacing these translators, a whole new risk of shoddy subs has appeared for entirely different reasons. Knowing the original language is more important than ever. So, I intend to try and teach what I know of Japanese and English to Japanese people. Us knowing Japanese is very important, but helping the other side understand what's going on is just as important. I am no expert in Japanese though, so I am completely open to correction. Likewise, my limited Japanese can make things difficult to explain when teaching English. Thus, this category will take mountains of prep, regardless of which angle I take, and may be very infrequent while I'm a one-man show. That said, I do have something going for me. As some may know, I had a massive file compiling all my Japanese notes over the years that was lost when my laptops exploded. Unfortunately, I will never know what I had on there, as I tossed the original notes once I put them in the new format. It might have been a good thing, though, as this will allow me to start from an angle that I think will be most helpful for others. And you know what? Rather than just teaching, why don't I actually use it as well? Although, this might be more supplemental to the teaching aspect, to be honest. Though I do have some personal pet projects I want to translate, as I really want to do theology videos for those in Japan. The whole world could use more of Christ, and I want to use this channel to spread His word above all else. It's why I start my streams with a verse I can translate easily. However, if I want to do some good, getting apologetics out there is almost necessary. I am not that skilled in this department, however. But there are two channels I've come across, one called Testify and the other Dinks the Puppet, that do a spectacular job at this. I intend to ask if I can translate their works for Japanese viewers, but even if I stream myself translating them, what I make would likely wind up on their channels and not mine. That said, I'm also open to trying to translate sermons, like public sermons, that are live streamed, or anything else of the sort, too. I will wrap up today with some projects that need finishing sooner rather than later. I don't have any deadlines though, and you'll see why. Oh boy, this one's a doozy. I am slowly crafting the lore around Saitenkamsa as a character, and I will make a temporary intro until I can get something better using that. Unfortunately, I was going to include things from my Final Fantasy XIV character in that, and now that's not happening. But, on the bright side, some connections have been made, and I might be able to retire this janky-arse free model sooner than I expected. And lastly, this is a fun side project where I highlight the best moments of my meme stream using 2 Vocaloids for co-host banter. This has helped me immensely in my understanding of both Kden Live and the Vocaloid editor. Although, because I want to take my time with this, it'll be backseated to everything else on this list. This may not even come out next year, but we shall see. And that should be it for now. Because I am a one-lady show, I cannot overstate just how ambitious this is, and I stress that a lot of my plans will not bear fruit for a long while. This is also considering that I am currently working part-time, so a lot of my free time just doesn't exist. As a metric for the speed of my progress, I hunkered down and edited nearly every single day since Charlie's assassination. And it's been how long since? That said, the very point of this channel is to help me regain the ambition I lost due to the highly traumatic experiences over the past few years, to give me a path forward as I flounder about a very awkward phase of life. Thus, I hope my bold new direction will not only aid me, but also my viewers, and spread Christ to all corners of the earth. To those who have been here since the very beginning, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And to those who have just discovered me, well, I hope you enjoy your stay. Este Cristo sama kara, ii yume o. Night night, brothers and sisters in Christ.
And remember to create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus.
And Hulu and Netflix. Honestly, where were y'all when Cuties came out? Oh, and Crunchyroll. Those guys hate your guts. You know what? Cancel everything! Vet your indies too. Time and money are the most valuable things you have. And if they don't respect them, they don't respect you. Likewise, If they don't value basic human decency and courtesy, they won't value your time nor your money. Quit consuming and start valuing your dignity! And you know who does value all that? That's right, baby! It's Jesus Christ, King of Kings and Lord of Lords! Let's go!